Uh, Hi all.
Hi.
Uh, Yeah, so we will start. First of all, very much thanks for joining for this session. And it is my pleasure to host this session of the webinar series, which we are doing with the theme of celebrating entrepreneurship in COVID times. So I know it's a difficult time, but again, we need to celebrate the entrepreneurship as well. And that is why you all are here. Um,
Mhm.
uh, So this webinar would not be possible without the support of SBI Foundation and our knowledge partner Tata Institute of Social Sciences. To give a brief background about SBI Foundation, so SBI Foundation is a premier CS institute in India, CSR institute in India, and has been working at grassroots level for improving the socio-economic well-being of the society, particularly of the less fortunate and underprivileged members, and enabling them to live up to the potential that they all possess. So great
Mhm.
work is being done by SBI Foundation at the grassroots level, which is required in a country like India, where you need to go to the field and work for the benefit of all. So again, they are also focused on creating an inclusive development paradigm that serve all Indians and to deliver societal benefits to all geographical region of the country without any barriers. With that, we are also fortunate to have Center for Social Entrepreneurship, Tata Institute of Social Sciences as our knowledge partner. As you may be aware, Center of Social Entrepreneurship provides an innovative master's program on social entrepreneurship and have an incubation center, the first of its kind in India, in an academic institute, which supports social entrepreneurship and is an inbuilt adaptation of the master's program, wherein the students immediately after graduation get guidance, mentoring, physical space, and network for funding and value-based collaboration. So again, a first kind of incubation center set up by TIS. It's very important that any of the students who wants to start their enterprise journey get all kinds of support. Just to give you background about myself, I am Saurabh Singhvi and I am representing Alsisar Impact. And Alsisar Impact has been working in the social impact space for last 12 years and has played a role of catalyst in the impact investment space in Southeast Asia. Uh, we are a team of passionate professionals with having a skills in finance, legal, compliance, and sustainability area. In the last 12 years, we have worked with more than 600 enterprises and around 70 plus impact investors, development financial institutions, and foundations. Uh, with this, I would like to give a brief about Mr. Nixon Joseph. Uh, Mr. Nixon Joseph, thank you for coming. And Mr.
Thank
Joseph
you.
is
Thank you.
who is the president and chief operating officer at SBI Foundation. He has been actively involved in a lot of developmental and community services banking activities. He has worked very closely with SBI's flagship programs and is the face behind the success of these CSR initiatives. Mr. Joseph joined SBI as probationary officer in 1985. So a very long journey with SBI he's having. As a banker, he has extensive experience in various facets of banking like corporate credit, retail operations, and international banking. He has also received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Professional Excellence and also is the former president of Toastmasters Club Tokyo and a founding member of Tokyo International Debating Society. On the other side, he is known for his love for distance running and has successfully completed 35 full marathons. So we would like to listen about your experience, your passion about running this marathon. We would love to hear about that. And he is the only public sector banker with such an achievement. As a coordinator of SBI Youth of for India, a flagship program of SBI, he has been mentoring hundreds of youths for starting their own venture. Uh, with this brief introduction, I would like to introduce to our panelists today, uh, Mr. Sriram Ravi. Uh, uh, so Mr. Sriram is the founder of Iruvaka Technologies from Vijayawada. Iruvaka has been in the space of developing a cloud-based pond management solution for aquaculture. With the help of various products developed by Iruvaka, farmers can monitor the oxygen level, automate the feed for shrimps, and at the same time save on the electricity bill as well. This integrated system enables farmers to increase the output by around 30%. Um, Sriram is a semiconductor engineer and spent around 6 year designing high performance semiconductor solution for broadcast access network. So welcome Sriram. We would love to hear more about your journey from being a semiconductor engineer to starting this this ground level services.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Uh, yeah, our next panelist, Nidhi Pant. So Nidhi Pant is a co-founder of S4S Technologies, who is tackling the problem of loss in agriculture produce post-harvesting. So, I mean, whoever knows about the agriculture, they know about this post-harvesting losses as well. It counts, the number is very high, right? So the company, as far as technology, has developed a solar conduction dryer that allows farmers to dehydrate food produce, such as fruits, spices, vegetables, fish, or meat quickly and easily. And Nidhi is the winner of Women Transforming India Awards by Niti Aayog, United Nations. She has also listed in Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia and winner of Unilever Young Entrepreneur Award 2019 by Unilever and University of Cambridge. She was also named as Emerging Innovator of the Year by Economic Times Women Leadership Awards. So welcome, Nidhi. We would be delighted to know about your journey as an entrepreneur, and a lot of our viewers would be happy to take inspiration from you.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Yeah. Uh, Another panelist, Mr. Ragesh Krishnam. So Mr. Ragesh is from Manipur, and he's the founder of Sui Generis, which popularly known for its brand CCT. And Sui Generis has discovered a new variant of tea made from lemongrass. Mr. Ragesh has done MBA and is the first generation entrepreneur and at United Nations Empracto. Under his leadership, Sui Generis has grown from 2 employees to 1,000 plus employees and is empowering hundreds of families across Manipur. So, welcome, Ragesh. Again, your story would be different as well and unique in a sense that you are working in such a difficult geography where most of the people would just go and do the government job. So we would be delighted to hear your story as well and how you are benefiting the society in such a distant area as well. Another distinguished panelist we have, Mr. Michael Anthony. Michael Anthony is from Earth Analytics, and Earth Analytics uses satellite data and provides solutions to government and businesses to manage their risk in agriculture and also in infrastructure. Uh, Michael, before starting Earth Analytics, Michael was a business development expert in emerging markets and was instrumental in kicking off the micro insurance business at Alliance that has grown into a portfolio of 40 million people insured in several markets in Africa and Asia. Miss Michael is right now based in Switzerland, but his heart lies in India. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you.
Yeah. So with this, I would request Mr. Nixon to start the session with the opening remark.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a matter of great honor and pride to be part of this webinar series, which is focusing on entrepreneurship during the COVID times. And within the webinar series itself, today we are going to have debate on a discussion on a very interesting topic, that is agri-business and agri-entrepreneurs. I thank Alsisar Impact and Tata Institute of Social Science for partnering in this very interesting initiative. With 60% of India's population still engaged in agriculture and allied activities, economists and policymakers often talk about the need for creating new work avenues and industries to shift a major segment of this population out of agriculture. However, this is not the only solution to the economic woes of India's rural poor. apart from generating new sources of jobs and income. It's equally important to bring about transformational change in the agri-business sector to augment incomes, create more sub-industries within the agriculture sector, and help the rural poor add to their agriculture resources. Agribusiness denotes the collective business activities that are performed from farm to fork. It covers the supply of agricultural inputs, the production and transformation of agriculture products, and their distribution to final consumers. And agribusiness is one of the main generators of employment and income worldwide. Since many of the agriculture outliers are forced to migrate to nearby towns and cities in search of work, it highlights the need for developing more innovative mechanisms in the rural economy that boost employment opportunities in the agri sector. The success of cooperatives in India, particularly Gujarat's dairy cooperative and Maharashtra's sugar cooperative, are examples of what innovation and entrepreneurial thinking can do for the rural sector. The sectors that can benefit hugely from entrepreneurial intervention are food processing and packaging, preservation of seasonal fruits and vegetables, seed processing, flower farming, in addition to crop farming, etc. And developing entrepreneurship in agriculture can immensely benefit Indian economy by reducing the burden on agriculture, generating employment opportunities for rural youth, reducing the need for migration from rural to urban areas, and increasing individual and national income. Indian agriculture is an over $350 billion industry, powered by close to 100 million small and independent farmers. This industry is on the brink of a massive transformation with ease of regulation, farmers getting organized, and increasing smartphone penetration. Fundamental issues like poor soil quality, water shortage, low quality seeds, climate change, lack of market access, inadequate storage facilities, and poor credit facility have crippled the agriculture sector. Only Agri-Tech companies can fill this gap quickly with the help of high-end technology like blockchain, artificial intelligence, remote sensing, data analytics, and various Internet of Things devices. The agri-tech sector, agri-business sector, has seen sharp growth during the COVID-19 pandemic. Investments from venture capital firms in agri-tech startups are expected to exceed $500 million in the next 2 years, as many have come together to help farmers connect with the buyers, automate supply chains, and build the next layer of data analytics to drive further supply chain efficiency. The sector has created a lot of buzz these days. As per a NASSCOM report, India is home to more than 450 agri-tech startups, growing at a rate of 25% year on year. It means a lot of things are happening in the agriculture sector. The global crisis has brought all of us together like never before. Given the adversity and the crying need for an urgent and smart solution, we are set to see the best minds at work to propel innovation. The dynamics of agriculture is going through a metamorphosis, and the agri-tech industry is bound to change the way business of agriculture will be conducted. And that could well bring about another green revolution like transformation in India. I'm looking forward for this discussion today with some eminent entrepreneurs from the agriculture sector who are going to narrate their experiences. And I hope that all of us will get inspired by their talks and will be moved further to make our own innovation and creativity in our own way to boost the agriculture sector. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nixon, for setting the context and giving us the welcome note. So without wasting much time, I would like to deep dive into this session, starting with Mr. Ragesh. So happy to you on board, and then we would love to listen to your story. And again, many viewers would like to know about the meaning of Q journalist as well. So starting
Okay.
with the name, your initial struggle, how you have managed to change the landscape in Manipur, how you are helping the society. I mean, yeah, of course, you can go on and tell your story.
Yeah. Thanks, Saurabh.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I hope you can listen to me properly, right?
Yes, yes.
yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. As the name suggests, sui generis means unique, one of its kind. And I always wanted to do something very unique, something different for my place, because Manipur is not known to be, business friendly. The ecosystem is absent over here. There is no business ecosystem in this part of the world. So the dream was always to build something unique, something very different from the rest. So I tried my hand in different ventures, and I failed, of course. I failed disastrously in many of the ventures which I took up before. But there was always a saying in Manipur that Manipur is a bird which lays the golden egg. And I was trying to find the meaning of that line. And maybe, I thought it this way, that the soil of Manipur is so fertile, you can plant anything and it grows luxuriantly. You harvest it, you sell it in the market, and you buy gold out of it. So maybe that's the meaning of the line. So taking a cue from that line, I started my venture in agriculture. So I reached out to many scientists, I reached out to many people who are expert in this field, but nothing caught my eyes until I found this plant called Cimbopogon cytritas. People generally call it as lemongrass also, but lemongrass has got 55 species and 25 of them are toxic also. So, Cimbopogon cytritas is something which has been extensively researched, and it has got no side effect. So, I entered into this venture, and thinking that this scientist, Dr. M. Hamad, he told me that if you plant this Cimbopogon hydratus and if you extract oil out of it, it has got a very good market everywhere, internationally also. So I thought maybe I'll plant it and then I'll extract oil out of it. But then again, I was not having any money during that period of time. So whatever money I could collect from my parents, they mortgaged whatever they had and they gave it to me. And I bought 10,000 saplings of Cimbopogon hydratus. I planted. But then again, I didn't have money to buy the machineries. And that was a problem. So I planted it, 6 months passed by, and then it started flowering. So I called up Dr. Ahmad and he said, I guess when it starts flowering, then it's of no use. The plant is of no use. You have to cut it and you have to burn it down. So I did it. And I went to a lot of banks to give me loan for the machinery, but I never got the loan. And again, 6 months passed by, it started flowering, and I didn't bother to call anybody this time. I just cut it down and I burned it. But then again, I was losing my family because my parents' hard-earned money, their mortgage, everything was on the line. So I died down. I went to the library. I started researching about other possibilities, what I can possibly do with the plant and all. And ultimately, I read an article that the concoction, with the boiled concoction of Cimbopogon cytritas, is good for treating fever. So it's called fever grass in Brazil. So that was the spark of an idea. So next morning I went to my farm. I harvested a bunch of it. I brought it down and I prepared tea out of it. my God, it was the most beautiful green color I've ever seen in my life. But when I tasted it, it was the worst beverage I've ever tasted in my life. Everything was wrong about the beverage. So I thought maybe something needs to be done. So I was looking out for a protocol, how I can possibly try it, and I found it. And this time when I prepared the tea and I drank it myself, I kind of liked it also, but I knew that I was not the market. So the best people to try my new product was my parents, because they were traditional tea addicts, the conventional tea addicts. So I gave my tea to my parents. Mothers are mothers, always encouraging. And she was said, "Oh, it's good." But father's a bit critical. He said, "I would say it's a bit light when you call it a tea." And I was heartbroken. But then again, I told my wife, maybe you should put a pinch every day on their tea, and we'll see what happens. So on the 10th day, my father himself asked me, "Why don't you bring your CCT?" I have named it, by the way. Even though it was not marketed, I've started naming it already. And he tried it in the afternoon. And by the time he finished his tea, he said, "I think I kind of started liking your product, because I know every day your wife put a pinch on my tea, and I kind of start liking it now." And that was a jackpot for me, because if these two people who were conventional tea addict could convert into my product, my tea, that means it's a huge, huge, huge market for me. So it was a jackpot. But then I didn't want to take risk by just introducing it to the market. I wanted to be sure about its medicinal property and whether it's toxic or non-toxic. So I again asked my parents to borrow some money. They did it somehow. And I went to Delhi, and I went to FICCI laboratory, and then they checked everything. And it turned out that it has got very good medicinal value and it's non-toxic. So I came down. But the problem was I was having no money for packaging my product and how to market it. That's when my wife jumped in and she said, "I have some jewelry, you can sell it off. And with that money, you can start your venture." And that's when I sold her jewelry, and I bought the packaging material, and I started marketing it slowly. And that was 21st August 2011. And as they say, starting from there, the rest is history. So CCT is going strong from 2011 to 21st August 2011 till date, and it's going really, really strong. Over to you, Saurabh.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh. Such an interesting journey, and you have highlighted two things in it, which every entrepreneur faces. First is how to get the funds, right? As you mentioned that you approached every bank, but
Yeah.
nobody gave you the loan. So that is the kind of the hurdle every entrepreneur faces. And again, the market validation is an interesting thing that your family approved the product, and that is the benchmark you have taken, because the kind of
Yes.
standard they have set is very high. So yeah, thanks for sharing this. And then of course, getting funds from your family member, but that
Yes.
the kind of you can say the trust they have in you, it shows that they have that kind of level of trust in you. So
I
yeah,
agree.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we will again come back to get more details on your venture as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Nidhi, thank you for coming, and we would love to listen about your journey, your kind of work, the kind of work which you have won, what you do at Asforest, how you are solving the problem of farmers, everything. Yeah. Over to you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you to Alsisar Capital and also SBI Foundation and TSS for this opportunity. I started back in when I was 18 years old. I was a college student at UDCT, Institute of Chemical Technology, Matunga. And my parents are scientists at BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So they are farmers turned scientists, and we are basically from Uttarakhand, which is in the northern part of India, the Himalayas, and that is a very landlocked place. and faces a lot of natural calamities. So landslides are very common there, and building and rebuilding communities is just it's a natural state for most of the people there. My parents have been a a huge influence in my life based on what the way they have always used science, which um, uh, in the service of people, and that was something that very passively we grew up in a family. And I decided that okay, I think very early in my life that I don't want to do any computers or any of those things. I want to be really close to the nature, but as a middle class family, they would always say that something that should be bankable also. So they said, okay, you can try chemical engineering. That is the most easiest way if you don't want to do electronics or computers. And that's how I did my chemical started with my chemical engineering. And during this time, I started uh, more volunteering for many rural initiatives that starts from adopting a village, health camps in the village. It was something I was always inclined and curious about. I have done it initially also with my parents in 2013 floods. That was the cusp point. So my father always used to say that there's one person who has always who takes you out of the poverty. That is that hockey curve uh, that that my father did for us, our family, taking us out of poverty. Um, and he kept on reminding me very clearly. So I think I was still finding my purpose and passion as a very energetic a passionate 18-year-old kid just trying to try out various things. And that's where I used to see this challenges faced by farmers very often. So at one end, you see the farmer is not is in poverty. They don't have any. They're not eating well. They are all malnutrition in a way. The food is also getting wasted at the same end. So this was a very stark reality that we used to see uh, almost in most of the part of Maharashtra. I was still deciding whether I should go to a corporate career or I should try this. And Ragesh also mentioned the funds, and I think that time 5 years back the entrepreneurial ecosystem was also not very developed in a way that we had accelerators or we had support like or we were not in that we didn't have that kind of exposure. So initially just trying to figure out what is the best way to solve the problem. So I think I didn't have any clue whether this is entrepreneurial way, this is activism way, or is it just by having an innovation lab. But I really thought that development as a freedom is what I would like to practice. I read this book and by Amartya Sen. At that point of time, I was really pumped up that equal opportunity for everyone is what should be there. But my parents were also very worried that uh, okay, they said that this is not a wise way to do. You just should get more experience. You should try out different things and then go back. They said, "Acha, ye to hum log jab thode we are a bit old. We can try this. This is not something like any young person should do. You should try and get like a higher degree." But I think I really just seeing the problem, the huge problem that was of food wastage, post harvest losses. Also, the farmers just didn't allow me, and I think I stuck to it. I made that hard choice, and at that point of time, my parents very clearly said that you should also look at financial stability. So entrepreneurship that way was the best option because you are actually they were very clear that you should not do one thing for impact and other thing for making money, because if you try and do both you would never you will never succeed. And at that point of time I had some college seniors who were also working on a similar initiative. We all were doing different projects in the same lab of the same professor, and that's how we got integrated. I was really very lucky to have a team which was very strong because that kind of reinforced what I want to do. I didn't worry about anything else, monetarily, anything. I said, yes, this is a group of people. We are going to help farmers earn assured additional income. and we are going to do it together. And that was a big thing for me to validate my thought process. And and we collectively came together to form S4S Technologies, which stands for Science for Society. It was very aligned to my values, also even my parental values that I come with. And yes, I started there basically converting from like an engineer to a salesperson. So just figuring out business models, what could be done so that we can actually add some value addition for the farmers. And so we started working at what are the ways in which we provide. Okay, we provide technology. We have this patented solar conduction dryer, which does prevent food wastage and losses. But what happens after the value addition? So the journey has been just full of learning, and every year I discover something or the other. First year, someone said, okay, this is the technology. Will the farmer use it? Validated it with the farmers. Second year, what should be the, okay, now you have the technology, there is food that comes out of the technology. Now what do you do with the dehydrated produce? You also provide market linkage. So started by providing market linkage to farmers. So my journey has been majorly starting from technical chemical engineer to majority of the time uh, on the market and discovering where the market is moving, and now more progressing towards finance and fundraising, and how should the company strategically align itself to the mission and match it to the business model, so bridging that gap. So just that alignment and finding what's new, what's the next thing for the company is what I am also doing currently. But I have worn various hats, starting from technical to go to market, positioning, market, selling it to the customer retention, then now seeing finance also. So this has been my journey. It's been a roller coaster ride, but happy to share more in the following.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. That was really interesting. And one thing which I found very you can say important is that uh, I mean the kind of venture you are doing it should be sustainable, and at the same time you need to sustain that venture as well. So it's not that something you are doing it for living differently, and one you are just doing it for your passion. So it's very important that you combine your passion and make it sustainable. Good. And that's very good of you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Uh, so I would like Michael to hear about your story. What is your experience in India? What made you to come to India, right? And what Earth Analytics do? I mean, viewers would be very, you can say, interested to know about what Earth Analytics do.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thanks for having me. It's a great initiative. Look, I actually started out. I always called it the comfortable route because I was an intrapreneur before becoming an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur, of course, on the one side, it's great because you can achieve a lot of things because the move that you make carries the weight of a large corporation, ideally that you have behind, that you can move in a certain direction. So that's what I found that the passionate thing about being an entrepreneur. And I started actually on with Allianz, is an insurance company known in India as Bajaj Allianz. And so there was a tsunami in 2004, I think, Christmas Day 2004. And it was a devastating tsunami that also hit Tamil Nadu quite badly. And so the question, obviously, you asked after this event happened was, well, from a big insurance company point of view, what happened? What is the, what are the losses? And then you compile all this data that you get from, and that was happening at the head office. I was working at the head office in Germany at the time. And then we got these reports from India coming, and they said, no, not really losses. But I said, can't be, because it's one of the biggest, natural catastrophes that we had in the century. Yeah, but people were just not insured, so it doesn't hit our balance sheet. And then you realize that obviously something is wrong, because these are people that would actually most have needed and insurance, because all I mean, in many cases, their lives have been destroyed, but if not that, then at least the livelihoods have been destroyed. And I think I got the upper echelons, senior management, to convince that this is something that is structurally wrong, and it's actually something that ought to be addressed, and that if a global insurance company has a sort of a kind of a deeper sense of its mission, then it ought to focus, at least some attention, not just towards the shareholders, which obviously, that's what makes big companies drive and thrive, but also to a neglected client group. And so we started the microinsurance business, and in a number of countries around the world, but soon it became evident that India was sort of where the major, if you like, growth of that client group came from. And we worked in the beginning. We worked with Care International, a number of local NGOs in various state districts in Tamil Nadu, and it became quite an amazing exercise, because you really saw how insurance made sense, because clearly there were sort of more calamities striking in the coastal district of Tamil Nadu, and when we extended it, so we had like some hospital coverage, because obviously poor people very often, if some critical illness occurs, then they have to go to hospital. They're hit twice by the hospital bill, but also by the fact that they can't earn money, etc. So it's very obvious that it makes sense to have a simple and affordable insurance product, and it was very much also the philosophy of the of Care and the local the various NGOs we worked with, and it was great to see that impact. And but I, of course, also realized after doing this a couple of years that the true entrepreneur is the one that kind of that works by him or herself, and is not just, as I always called it, saving the world in business class, because of course in the global company you have all the perks, and if you fall, there's always a comfortable cushion that you fall on. And being an entrepreneur is quite a different story, because it's actually quite tough, and it's it's sweat, and it's you're out there on your own, and you carry the risks, and it's quite a different story. And so I had an opportunity then to come back to India a couple of years back, and to apply some learnings I made over the subsequent years in bringing high technology from satellites and apply that in agriculture. So what we did, and what we started out doing with Earth Analytics, is to use satellite data from different satellites and different satellite sensors to monitor crops, and to use the information that we derive as a decision-making instrument, so that policymakers, that FPOs, insurance companies, so various actors along the agricultural value chain have a tool to manage their risks, and have a tool that is data-driven, so they can make data-driven decisions to better manage the various risks that they have along the agricultural value chain. And so the technology we brought in and that we focus on is overcoming one major challenge in that world of satellite monitoring, which is a very simple challenge. It's cloud coverage, because obviously when you make pictures from above and Google Earth, then if you have satellites, you won't be able to make pictures from above. But as it happens, during the monsoon season, so right now, the sky is cloud covered. And if you want to monitor the health and the well-being and the productivity of crops in India during its major season, then obviously you need to have some technology that manages that cloud coverage. So the technology that we brought in was actually to a large extent, or sort of the algorithms that we used were developed in Switzerland for a number of, actually for the past 2 decades. And it's fairly complicated and sophisticated stuff, because again, you're not working with images, you're working with signals, and you have to interpret these signals to get a meaningful information on how the crop is doing. So it's pretty high end. And not always intuitive, but it's a game changer when it comes to generating an aggregated view of the health of crops and of the health of agriculture during the major season. And so that's where we are. So now we look into, developing applications based on the technology with sort of the government sector, also the insurance sector that is interested in that. And there are a host of other things that you can do with remote sensing technology. But I think one of the really sort of the for me an important experience was to to make the switch from the comfortable environment of a of a corporate entrepreneur, which has a lot of advantages because potentially your impact is great, but of course you also have to make a lot of compromises because first, anything you invent is not yours, it's the company's, and also the companies might change the strategy and say, what the heck, we're not going for this one anymore, we just big change of plans, and now we're just going for whatever the middle class, and we don't care about the low-income groups anymore. Well, eventually Allianz called it the emerging customers, so it's still actually something which is going on, and I'm very happy that also Allianz as a company continued on that path to address that client segment, and I think Allianz also realized that they can make an impact. But to me, switching to being an entrepreneur was a great experience, and also India as a country for that is actually a great experience, because also most personally it links back to kind of where I sort of make my first footprint on the on creating impact. So that's something that I feel sort of comfortable with, but also where I feel a strong attachment. Having been in the rural areas of the country, it's something where I'm happy also to make an impact. That probably in a nutshell sort of is what I can share.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. And I can very well relate to the situation which you are having, that sitting with a big corporate, right, in a protecting environment, and then jumping onto an entrepreneurship, taking all the risks. So yes, there is some motivation behind it. There is a big motivation behind it, and then it takes a lot of courage to take that kind of shifting as well. So yes, that was really interesting, Michael. We would come back to you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So Shriram has been working in Vijayawada, and again, you have been worked in some different industry for 5 or 6 years, and then you took this journey of entrepreneurship. So happy to listen more about your journey as well.
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. Glad that you connected me to the fellow entrepreneurs. Pleasure to meet you all, guys. Just a brief background, like I am born and brought up in close to Vijayawada. We are into a family growing chilies, cotton and maize. I think as I grew up, like the practices haven't changed, and things were like that. I thought like I need to differentiate and bring technology into this space, and I was after my electrical engineering, I was planning to study agriculture robotics, but fortunately or unfortunately, I couldn't get admission for 4 straight years into those universities. So I decided to start on my own to apply. Like even in my job, I was doing a lot of electronics and semiconductors. I thought of applying the same technologies because I found out like all these technologies and IoT can be applied to agriculture or aquaculture, which would transform the way that it is being done. It's like there are some farmers who are successful, there are some farmers who are not successful. My intention was like we need to study from the successful farmers and what are their best practices and what is that they're doing better, and emulate it to all people around. So like that, I was exploring multiple things: greenhouses, aquaculture, and shrimp, and cotton and chili farming. But eventually, I plunged into aquaculture because it was high risk and high reward game, and I thought this would be the place wherein the adoption of technology would be faster, and the ROI will be faster, and the value addition to the farmers would be a lot better. And we got into aquaculture. We started looking at what are the pain points. So primarily, like it's all like farmer-centric, customer-centric company, where we were basically learning the problems from the field and trying to come up with technology solutions to solve those problems. Definitely, like we were a lot much grounded and spending half of the time on the ground, understanding the practices that are being done by the farmers, and how do we help them adopt the technology. Sometimes the farmers need to unlearn the practices, their existing practices, to get benefit out of technology. So we started with the initial project to monitor the water quality in the shrimp ponds, and this device used to monitor the water quality and alert the farmers whenever there is some abnormal values, so that they can take some immediate care of their ponds. If they don't take an immediate attention, like the entire crop can become like a zero value in a matter of 4 to 5 hours. So this is very crucial for them, and we helped them to analyze and alert them. Then farmers told like feeding the shrimp or fish is a major challenge, and asked us like if we can help develop some technologies to ensure that the feed which is put into the water is consumed by the shrimp or not. And it was a very rough phase for us. We thought it would be done in 1 year, but it took us almost like 4 years to accomplish that perfection, because it's all like livestock and biology, and each experiment is like a 4-month period. So we had to go through a lot of experimentation phase, being at the farms, learning from the farmers on what they're doing, and see how technologies and how we can, how our algorithms can adapt to their best practices to automate this. And finally we could perfect the product. And I think I need to also praise a lot of farmers who have helped us to translate their knowledge into our algorithms, and they offered a lot of their forms for our experiments, and they co-worked with us to make this happen. And once we developed the product, like suddenly there was some interest from outside countries. Like shrimp farming is done in almost like 10 countries, and we received some cold email from on Facebook saying that we require these products from Ecuador. And then we went, we kind of started the talks, explained them what the product does and all things. And after 3 months, finally we got our first customer for that product, and it was a good door opening for us. And after that, we scaled to almost like 10 countries, and our products are being used by farmers in all these countries, and we are impacting almost 10,000 hectares of shrimp farming across the globe. And what I would mention here is like, so we have the potential, our technology and our engineers, we have the potential to develop world-class products. Whatever we developed for India, Indian farmers are being used by farmers across the globe, is impacting farmers across the globe, and that elevates our Indian pride in developing high-tech products. Yeah, I was also lucky to have like a good team around me who has the same humility and perseverance to be patient enough for 4 years to make sure that we deliver the product without much revenues. But now we see the surge in usage of our devices. Yeah, I need to thank my team and the farmers who helped us to be successful in this journey.
Yeah, thank you, Shira. Thank you so much for telling us about Eurowaka technologies. And as you mentioned, that sometimes what we do is that we develop the solutions keeping in mind or limiting our thinking to the local markets only. But of course, as you mentioned, that it can apply to anywhere in the world as well. So as you mentioned that you have been supplying or you have been working with around 10 countries and creating the impact across the world as well. Yeah, thank you so much. So I think when any Indian startup is developing any kind of product as well, they need to keep in mind that it can be applied anywhere in the world. And coming back to the entrepreneurship journey, I think it's a long journey, it's a long journey, and it's kind of a marathon race as well. So I would request Mr. Nixon to tell us about the fact as to how he started running for such distance and how he related to entrepreneurship as well. Because I think there are a lot many similarities between running a marathon and having an entrepreneurship journey. Yeah, Mr. Nixon.
Now, I was listening to the entrepreneurship journey of the four entrepreneurs who have been driven by their passion to do something different. That is what has been outstanding in all the four journeys which I have heard so far. In my case also, I till the age of 45, I was not into running any marathons or even any fitness exercise. I was just going to office, coming back. So at the age of 45, I was thinking life is much, much bigger. And I was also thinking that it has to be like, I read somewhere that the biggest inspiration is when someone tells that you are the biggest inspiration or you inspire me, like that. So I was having in mind at that time that if I continue to work like this, morning 9, I go to office, return from office at 9 p.m. I thought I'm not inspiring anyone. I should do something different. And I was thinking for like almost 2 months of what I should do different. Then only it occurred to me that in banking sector, very few people run, and that too long distance running. So I thought, why not do long distance running? And I didn't have any athletic background or anything. But still, I thought if I do some long distance running, I would be able to do something different from every other official. And also, I'll be able to inspire others. So it came to me, I should do this. This is something which I found. And then I registered for the Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon in 2005 for the 42 kilometers full marathon. I didn't know the distance. I was just thinking could be like 1 kilometer, somehow I'll be able to complete it. So I just jumped into that. And on the day of the run, I found that after 7 kilometers, I couldn't move forward. I was having pains all over my joints. I was felt completely exhausted, muscle cramps, blisters everywhere. I was thinking I should give up. This is not something for me. I have gone into an uncharted territory. But then it came into my mind. Many people had told me when I spoke to them about my running. They told me, "Why should you do such activities? Why don't you be happy with what you are doing now? Why can't you restrict yourself to your office and be comfortable? Why we should go into uncomfortable zones?" So all these came into my mind at that time. And I also thought that this is not something suited for me. But then it came into my mind that if I surrender at that time, I'll be just yielding to all of them. And also, if you have to be different, if you have to inspire others, you have to come out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to somehow complete it either by jogging or walking or crawling. I'm going to complete it somehow. And it took 7 hours, 30 minutes for me. So much of I floundered almost on the running track. It took 7 hours, 30 minutes for me to complete the 42 kilometers marathon. And then I got the finisher's medal. That was one of the happiest moments in my life. And it taught me a lot of things. I used to relate it to the entrepreneurship journey because I am in interaction with so many entrepreneurs. I used to find that many of them just follow their passion and jump into it. But then it would also be better if they discuss their passion or their idea with those who are experts in the field also, so they know the full 360-degree information before going for any entrepreneurship journey. And also, we should have sufficient preparation. Calculated risk only we should take. It should not be just blind risk which we are taking. And unless you are driven by passion, you cannot have a successful enterprise. Similar to running also, unless you are really passionate about running, it is a very painful exercise. So in many ways, I found this is like a similar, marathon running is similar to running a enterprise or just starting an enterprise. And with practice, with a lot of learning, with the experience you get, you become very comfortable running an enterprise, though it is challenging. Every marathon which I do now, I completed 40 full marathons so far. I found each one is challenging, but then it becomes easier because you are used to challenges. Same way enterprises is run. And even during this marathon, lockdown period, we were all locked down inside our apartments. That should not, like any hurdle which comes before us, should not put a stop to our passion or activities. So what I did was, I started running or jogging inside my apartment and completed 42 kilometers 3 times inside my apartment. Just to give the message that if there is a will, there is an inspiring way to achieve the goals. Similarly, for entrepreneurs, if they're driven by passion, if they're determined that should go ahead, in spite of so many naysayers which are not allowing them to go ahead, they will be able to end challenges and come up with very good results and rich experiences, which we heard from all the four entrepreneurs today. Really inspiring journey, all four of them have made. And when I look back, I feel there are a lot of challenges, but I feel very, very happy, very, very satisfied. I took a initiative which I thought I won't be able to do it, and which I thought should inspire others. So now what I have achieved is that many people tell me, "Sir, you are inspiring," and that is a very big inspiration for me. I admit that I achieved my goal, and it has in turn helped me in my career also, in my work life also, professional life also, because I do my journey without competing with anyone. I run my marathon at my own pace, my own comfort, not competing with others. And therefore, I'm not taking the stress of work into running. And I enjoy both running as well as my work. So any entrepreneur, if he should he should enjoy his journey. Otherwise, he will find it painful, because there are a lot of challenges in running an enterprise. Similarly, lot of challenges in completing 42 kilometers. But unless you start enjoying it, this will be painful. And I'm very sure that all the four people, Nidhi Pant, Rajesh Kesham, Michael Anthony, and Sriram, all of them are enjoying their entrepreneurial journey. And that's why we were like very inspiringly listening to all four of them today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nikhil. That was really inspiring. And I can only imagine that after 7 kilometers of run, how you had completed the 42 kilometers with all the things. That is really inspiring. Yeah. So coming back, Mr. Ragesh, you also had seen that the first two crop cycles, right? You have to burn it down with your own hands. So I can really imagine the kind of pain, the
Yeah.
kind of, you can say, the devastating situation you would be having. Uh, right now, also, the world is going through a very rough phase. Every other business is impacted by COVID somewhere or another. Some businesses are deeply impacted, somebody are not that deeply impacted. But yes, the thing is that everybody, each one of the human who are there have been impacted by this COVID. I would like to understand as to how you have strategically handled this situation. Have you made any kind of strategic changes, strategic initiative which you have taken to cope up with this COVID situation?
Uh, yeah, it's an interesting take, Saurav, because if I have to technically tell you about this lockdown, I would rather say this is nothing new to us, because as you know that I come from a very very beautiful place called Manipur. We also do have a not so beautiful fact, uh, like there would be buns and strikes every now and then happening, and this lockdown, it's been happening in our life for a very very long time now. So in fact we were practicing all those years, and now is the real game, and it's reasonably easier for us to understand, right? So how how to cope up with lockdowns, how to cope up with curfews and all, so it's reasonably easier for us that way. But that said, definitely there are challenges. There are challenges everywhere. Every one of us are facing challenges in these trying times. And as I said, uh, why I entered this entrepreneurial journey is because seeing the financial constraint my parents had when we were young, I wanted to become rich. I wanted to become really rich. But it is after this journey of my CCT that I realized that you can be rich also at the same time you can help people. And that's a plus point for us, right? So once this lockdown started, the problem we faced was there were a lot of SOPs being imposed on us, like only 50% of your workforce can work in your factory. So that was a drawback for us, because you have demand in the market, you need your production to be stable, but you have limited working manpower, working hour. So what I did was I motivated my people, half of them to work for 6 hours, the rest of the half to work for another 6 hours, because we basically work only 6 hours in a day before, but now we are working 12 hours. So there are no layoff in the company. So people are working 6 hours, starting from 6 in the morning to 12 in the afternoon, and from 12 to 6 in the evening. This is how we are working. But the challenge was the concept heads, the fully skilled people. There are 4 people who are running my factory. They need to be there for the whole 12 hours. And that's when I motivated them, and we discussed, and then they agreed and they volunteered, and they are working 12 hours in a day. So now this production challenge, it's solved now literally. But then again, after this production problem is being solved and sorted out, the next problem we faced, the next challenge was market again, because Manipur was only half of our market, and the rest of the market was outside Manipur, or rather the rest of the northeastern states. So suddenly, after the lockdown, you could see a drop in your cash flow, and that was a big challenge for us. So I called my people. We had a discussion how we can possibly come out of this hurdle, and that's when we have decided that we will enter into a research agreement with IIT Guwahati, because we knew from the start that CCT has got a lot of health benefits, but we wanted to be sure by having a scientific research backing out of it. So the idea was, I needed Manipur to be my market now. because I need to double the market. Otherwise, my cash flow would be seriously hit. So that's when we entered into this research agreement with IIT Guwahati. And IIT, they did their research, and their first finding was, their first research was done on Newcastle disease virus. And we found out that at 5 mg per ml, this Newcastle disease virus was dead. So CCT was antiviral at 5 mg per ml, and it was a very good finding for us. But then again, it was not enough, because we also know that in these trying times, people need to build their immune. So we wanted to see if CCT could trigger innate immune. And now we found out that TLR, the toll-like receptors protein, it's spiked after using CCT, let's say for a period of 15 to 20 days, in a prolonged period of 15 to 20 days. So with that, we went out with a presser, we went for a press briefing. And after that, now that people know that CCT has antiviral property, CCT spikes our innate immune. And after that, the market problem is also being solved now. Manipur itself has grown from, let's say, the market it was to 3 times now. Manipur is 3 times the market it used to be before. So that's how we are coping it up, because for all these years we were training, all these bans and blockades was training us for this real game of lockdown, and I think it paid off quite well. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Nagesh, I believe it turned to an opportunity for you, as you were able to, double or triple your production as well as market as well. So really interesting to know about this thing as well. I mean, of course, these kind of things are not pandemics are not good for the world, but again, how we turn those into an opportunity, it's really interesting.
Yes.
Uh, Nidhi, as far as you also must be facing a lot of hurdles due to this pandemic. So would love to listen as to how strategically you have changed your position or to structure in a way that you are able to cope with this situation as it is.
So the most important thing has been the product market fit. So what the market was suddenly, that because we make money by supplying our products to food and beverage industry, which includes major FMCG players like Marico, Nestle, Unilever, Capital Foods, and also to small hotel, restaurant, catering industry, cloud kitchens, and flight kitchens also. So that there has been a difference in the market fit based on their demand being different now. And so so the inventory that we used to whether to hold, we used to plan it according to what should be the inventory, at what time we should process and keep. So a lot of that was disturbed. So for us, it took us some time to actually understand. So the first step that we did was be very, very close to the consumer. So we work as a extended arm to for various of the food and beverage industry, providing them solutions to rehydration. So we just double up on that. So in this lockdown, we did more R&D than ever before. So that has been an important thing. Second, based on the farmer end, suddenly this time we have got the such a big spike in the requirement of dehydrators, because everyone now wants to preserve the produce. Farmers are getting like really small, like really not the right price. They were really arm twisted. Also, they were just giving everything away at throwaway price. That was something, and they now wanted to preserve the produce. Also, as the migrant workers are moving back to their villages, they're also looking for alternate income options, alternate livelihood options to earn. And that's where, in terms of dehydration and also by what we give as an assured income, was most helpful. And we did get a chance to align our farmers and also the new demand we have. So we were quickly very agile enough to deploy and and give these dehydrators to the farmers, where now they, even if they are not earning from their agriculture produce, they're earning through processing. So they have an assured income, and they don't have to move out, and they can also use the produce for their own consumption. So they use these dehydrated produce, providing like them a food security. So at that end, that has been both at the farmer end and the customer end has been our approach. That has been the most important part. Apart from that, the other challenge, which is that everyone wants credit. Suddenly we have said no credit policy, we are only upfront payment, and that's how we would be dispatching the produce. So that still exists. Haven't been able to stop that, but it also makes us more disciplined. So first they will say 3 days, 3 days ka 7 days ho jayega, 7 days to 10 days. So all those challenges, but being more financially, how to manage our money better, managing working capital better has been a great learning. Apart from that, how Ragesh mentioned in terms of labor availability of team and labor, and keeping them motivated, also keeping them assured that we are not going to cut their salaries, or is it just giving them an assurance that that we are with them in this pandemic, was also very important. So our HR team has been on it to give that support and comfort. So those are the few strategic things for us.
Yeah, right, Nidhi. So, of course, this pandemic has changed the way we do our business, and one thing which everybody has started doing is uh, managing the cash. So, earlier maybe somebody is not very, you can say, aware or do the right practices in managing the cash. Everybody has now started to manage it very well, and glad that again this pandemic has created an opportunity for you where you have deployed more tires into the field. So yeah, thanks for sharing this. Sriram, again in your area, or again since you have diversified to various countries, but again this pandemic has an impact on the whole world as on a total basis. Uh, how you coped up with this challenge?
Yeah, especially like the farmers have been worst affected in aquaculture because it's a perishable segment, and the prices have really crashed down. What we have been really helping them is actually we took this crisis as an opportunity in terms of educating them on how to reduce their input costs using technology.
Yeah.
And we could quickly run and show them the pilots and how the new technology would help them to reduce their production costs, and they believed in it. And again, they had a challenge of how do we afford these technologies right now. So what we did was it also paved us for a new model of introducing subscription. Instead of selling our devices, we started giving them under subscription. So the ROI, farmers pay only like 1/10 of the ROI, and they reduce their capital expenditure on the equipment, and it's profitable, and it's a win-win situation both for the farmer and Irvaka. And after introduction of the subscription business, our deployments have increased by 20x.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting, Shira. Again, for you also, this has turned into an opportunity.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, Michael. Initially,
Sorry, Saurabh, I'm not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think now should be.
Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just saying that initially it was European countries which were having a greater impact due to this COVID, and now it has turned to India. So how at Earth Analytics you are coping up with this situation?
Well, I mean, it's I guess on the one hand, of course, our product is remote, right? So in that sense, we're not impacted. Of course, we're impacted by changing cash flows and clients that have their own worries. So in that sense, it does impact us. But in terms of really the pure product design and product delivery, it doesn't impact us. Now, since we are probably at multiple locations with like Kanpur, Mumbai, Switzerland, we kind of have some experience in working remotely, what again sort of goes with the type of the product, being a sort of a more of a high-tech product that you develop on your desk. So in terms of the product generation, in terms of the setup, the way we organize ourselves, I think we sailed reasonably well through those difficult days. But of course, we know that our clients, our partners, they're impacted by it, and we somehow need to take account of that. That also impacts us. But we're probably some of those industries that have that potentially can benefit, because we help to monitor in an aggregated way a portfolio or a site, and if people can't go out and go physically to a site, then they can do that through satellite. So in principle, I think we should be sailing well through those difficult times. But of course, we'll have to acknowledge that partners or externals are impacted, and also staff, because it's there are many very, very frustrating moments when you hear things, friends affected, family affected, you being locked up in your room. And so I think psychologically, it's not always easy to keep up the spirit and reassure ourselves that we can still go forward, and we can still make a positive impact with the type of product we're generating. That's something we need to remind ourselves probably more often than usual in these times.
Right. So absolutely. So this pandemic has, of course, the businesses are being affected, but how we are handling our human resources, it's very important. How to keep them motivated.
Exactly.
It's a difficult time for everybody. It's not that only businesses are impacted. It's about the human lives.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody is getting affected, and how you take care of them is very important.
Right.
A very you can say burning questions among the entrepreneurs or who want to start their entrepreneur journey. What kind of tips you would like to give, or a kind of secret mantra or a guru mantra you would like to give? So I'll start with Nidhi.
No, I don't think there is any guru mantra, but perseverance, as Nixon sir has also mentioned. There are going to be bad days, there are going to be good days. First would be perseverance. Second is, do not emulate or compare anyone's journey. That, okay, like I used to do it all the time, that, okay, Uber, okay, this is happening, that is happening, okay, that's happening in other startup. Why is it not happening with us? So not comparing or emulating anyone's journey. Third is the team. So as long as internally everything is great, the team has the same vision and mission. Everything else is going to be great. And the fourth is just start. I definitely think this is a great time for anyone to start. Always having those competing opportunities. This will pay well. That will happen. You would always get in your lifetime. There would always be things that would be more exciting, would be more lucrative. But the ecosystem is so well developed. There's ample amount of support. Apart from research, everything, even the universities give you great hand holding. And there is so much support and like knowledge available in the ecosystem that you can definitely tap into. So these would be my top four things.
Basically, it would be like, don't wait for anything, just jump. Right? There would
Yes,
not be a good time. There would not be a, you can say, as
the right
perfect
time will never
timing.
come.
Yeah, the right time will
The
never
right
come.
time is now.
Yeah,
Yes, don't do it like blindly, that, okay, just, but yes, just decide that you need to start. You're going to take time figuring out market, product, pricing,
yeah.
all of that. it was going to take time. It's never, nothing of this will be overnight. You would also not be like, fundraising is going to take time. Everything definitely would take more resources and time, both financially and human resources, than you have anticipated and planned for. So be okay with those uncomfortable things. But every day is a new learning, every day is a new challenge, and every day will give you that thing. Sometimes it's boring, it's difficult, but you need to keep going.
Yeah, again, what Mr. Nixon has said, that be prepare yourself and just do it. Right? That's what the
Absolutely,
mantra
he
is.
said it bang
Yeah.
on, yeah. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, Ragesh. Again, in India now, what we are seeing is that the startup culture is getting activated or getting warm up in tier 2, tier 3 cities, as well as the in rural areas as well. So everybody wants to join the entrepreneurship journey. So, what kind of suggestion you would like to give? I mean, of course, as you mentioned that Manipur, it's not, you can say, a state or in a condition where any entrepreneurship, that kind of infrastructure is not available. So you know
Yeah.
that what kind of hardship you had gone through because of the infrastructure thing and other things as well. So
Yeah.
what would be your advice to this? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so for a place like Manipur, or maybe the whole of Northeast, it definitely is going to be very difficult all the time because we do not have that proper infrastructure. We don't have the business ecosystem present in this part of the world. So for people in the Northeast, it's going to be reasonably difficult to start a business because number one, there is no trust factor. Even if you go to a bank or maybe an investor, see, when I first reached out to investors, I literally must have reached out to everyone in the country. So most of them liked my idea, most of them liked my product. But considering the geopolitical situation of the region, the volatile nature of the region, most of them passed on the opportunity. It is only when Subhadev, he connected me with Eco Investment, now C40 Partners Netherlands, that we got interest about this funding also. But after getting interest from them also, it was hell lot of a journey to get all the paperwork done, all this compliance headache done. But Anuj jumped in and Anuj made things easy for us and he made it happen. But it might not be very easy for everyone because you need to have connections, you need to have good friends out there who are ready to support you in every possible way. So for those people who are less luckier than I am, for them it would be slightly difficult. But then again, it's more about that grit, that determination, and that never say die attitude that is going to make a difference. Even during these trying times, a lot of businesses are shutting down. But I should not be saying this, but it's a blessing in disguise for my product. It's a blessing in disguise for my company because it's working out quite good, right? So it's more about that never say die attitude that is going to mark a difference in this industry because you need to be there if you want to be here. Because you should remember that when a knife is being thrown at you, you have two ways to catch it. I'm talking about catching, not ducking, right? So you have two ways to catch it, either by the blade or by the handle. So if you ask me, every single time I will try to catch it by the handle. So it is that grit, that determination, that never say die attitude that is going to mark a difference. So that is very important. So if you have that, the rest will fall in place. The rest will fall in place.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. That was really interesting take on the knife as well. Michael, I believe there are many people who has been working in a very comfortable position in very big corporate for 10 years or 12 years kind of thing. But in their mind, out back of the mind, they have this thought of starting their own journey. So, I mean, what kind of advice you would like to give to these people?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down sort of to what you want to do in your life, right? And I think if you sort of strongly believe that there is a particular problem that you can solve, I think you can also do it on your own. After some time, you don't have to maybe rely on a big corporation to eventually do it for you or do it for others. But I think if you have a strong idea to tackle a certain issue, then and you stay truthful to that, then I think you can do it on your own. And I think that's probably the most important thing. And probably along the way, stay truthful to yourself and stay authentic to who you are and what you want to do, and don't try to cut too many corners and try to be somebody else. So I think I can only encourage everyone to, be that, coming out from a corporate background or just coming from any background really, to take the entrepreneurial route. I think it's challenging, but it's also satisfying.
Yeah, Michael, it's really interesting. I mean, of course, it requires an honest, hard work, but it's satisfying at the end of the day.
Right.
That's what I believe Mr. Nixon would be feeling as well. I mean, after all the flames, it's really satisfying. I would like to talk to you longer, but again, we are almost at the end of the session. I would like to take a quick poll to all the attendees here, and would like Mr. Nixon to have a thank note and your take on the session today. Yeah, Mr. Nixon.
It was really interesting and inspiring to listen to all the four entrepreneurs, listening to their interesting journey, challenging journey, how they faced the challenges, and how they could come out successful, mainly because they were driven by the passion and they were perseverant and determined to achieve their goal, whatever it may. As one of the speakers told, the never give up spirit, the resilience. These are the qualities which an entrepreneur should have. And our speakers today have demonstrated these in immense measure. And if we analyze what has been the single point which has given success to them, it is their determination. And I feel that the inspiring stories which they have shared would encourage many youths to take a plunge into entrepreneurship. Because if India has to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat, attracting a lot of youth towards entrepreneurship is the only way. That is the only way how resources which is available plenty in India. And especially Kesham was telling about Northeast. I have spent almost 10 to 12 years in Northeast. I found it is one of the places which is rich in natural resources, rich in lot of agricultural commodities. And the quality, sweetness of fruits produced in Northeast, I don't think is like available anywhere in the world, I will tell you. The pineapples of Shillong, Tripura, oranges in Meghalaya, all these are really tasty items. When the cashew nuts produced in Garo Hills, the quality and size I have not seen anywhere in the world. But then these are yet to be tapped. These can be tapped, and India can become Atmanirbhar only if our younger generation, our youths, our educated youths become entrepreneurs. And today, like whatever our four entrepreneurs have told, be it Kesham or Diti Pant or Michael Anthony or Sirar Rabi, all were will really push everyone to try a hand in entrepreneurship. So today, as we wind up the session, I hope that this webinar would have given lot of ideas, lot of energy, lot of motivation to many who have listened to this, the talks of these successful entrepreneurs to enter entrepreneurship. It is time that we give up our desire to have only jobs coming from government. We have to start our own enterprises, social enterprises, and provide jobs to others. And this is what today our speakers have done in their own way. Very inspiring journey. And I feel myself very fortunate that I have listened to all four of you, as well as also regret that I didn't take up entrepreneurship journey. And Saurabh Singh, we had moderated this session very well. And I thank him for these efforts he had taken in moderating this session. Overall, a very interesting talk. Thank you. And thank you to all those who have listened to today's webinar. If some of you at least think about becoming an entrepreneur, or starting some social enterprise, please do get in touch with any of us. We'll be able to give some ideas, some support, some mentoring. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nixon. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. Thank you so much for your time. It was great listening to you all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.